everyone, my name is Kushal ST. In this video, I'm going to be telling you about the history of Valentine's Day and why Cupid is symbolized for love. History of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, that is on February 14th, is a time to exchange greeting cards and gifts with loved ones. Possible origins and some history. Lupercalia Festival. On February 15th, festival celebrated coming of spring in Roman calendar. Several rites connected to fertility festival transformed, spread to France, Britain. Christian martyr. Early Christian church had at least two saints named Valentine. One who secretly married young couples was executed on February 14th, about 269 AD. Cupid, also known as Armor, Roman god, or Eros, Greek mythology, is holiday symbol. In 1415, French Duke, imprisoned by British, is first to send love poetry on Valentine's Day. In 1800s, first commercial cards from England in early 1880s. In 1847, first US manufacturer. In 1900, mass production of products marketed to newly emerging middle class. So now, before knowing about Cupid, let us know some of the history of Valentine's Day in a gist. Saint Valentine's Day is a religious holiday. Do you know who was Saint Valentine? One of the legends says he was a Christian priest who had been thrown in prison for his teaching. On February 14th, Valentine was beheaded, not only because he performed a miracle, he cured the jailer's daughter from her blindness the night before he was executed, but he wrote a letter to the girl signing it from your Valentine. Some history. St. Valentine's Day, celebrated on February 14th, has its origin in different legends. One of them says that Valentine was both a Christian priest and a doctor at Rome in the days of Claudius II. One day, a jailer came to Valentine for help. His daughter was blind. Valentine did what he could, but he was put in prison. He secretly married couples, and for his kind deed, Saint Valentine was arrested and killed. Saint Valentine was a priest who lived in the 3rd century in Rome. Emperor Claudius II decided that men made better soldiers if they had no wives or families, so men were not allowed to marry. In ancient Rome, February 14th was a holiday to honor Juno, the queen of the Roman gods and goddesses, and also the goddess of women and marriage. Young boys and girls lived strictly separated until the festival of Lupercalia, which began on the following day, February 15th. But on the eve of the festival of Lupercalia, the names of Roman girls were written on slips of paper and put into a box. Each young man took a slip of paper from the box, and the girl with that name and the boy were partners for the duration of the festival. Sometimes they were a couple for an entire year, and often they fell in love and married later. What's the superstitions of Saint Valentine? In Britain, the spring is associated by the wedding birds. This is the day where the bird chooses its female. The superstitions are associated to names of birds. Example, if a woman saw a robin flying overhead, she will marry to a sailor. If a woman saw a sparrow flying overhead, she will marry to a poor man, but she will be very happy. If a woman saw a goldfinch flying overhead, she will marry to a rich person. While reading this, I was very surprised because I thought only in India superstitions are there. But after reading this, I came to know that in every place there are superstition beliefs. So now let's know about Cupid. As Valentine's Day approaches, there's one figure you will probably see everywhere you look. You won't be able to miss him while thinking up Valentine's Day ideas. From a romantic dinner at your favorite restaurant to browsing the many Valentine's Day flowers to gift to your love. That's right, we are talking about the winged warrior of romance, the Valentine Cupid. So, who is the god Cupid, which we symbolized for love? Let us find out. Armed with trusty bows and arrows, Cupid is one of the popular Valentine's Day characters. He zips around the clouds, eager to make love connections wherever he goes. You may wondering while seeing various photos, why is Cupid a baby? Do you know the reason? If not, let us find out. The Valentine Cupid you can easily call to mind is an interpretation of Eros, the Greek god of love. He appeared as a handsome youth in early art and poetry, but by the Hellenistic period, which spanned from 323 BCE to 31 BCE, he deformed into the chubby winged child we know and love today. Representing Eros as a child and subordinate to his mother is a way of containing or limiting the power that love was thought to have over us, says Catherine Connors, PhD, a classics professor at the University of Washington. So, what does Eros have to do with Cupid? A lot, actually. The Romans reinterpreted many Greek myths, and Eros is no exception. Once he was adopted by Roman culture, he was renamed Cupid, which stems from the word for desire. According to Roman mythology, Cupid was a god born of Mercury, the messenger of the gods, and Venus, the goddess of love. Armed with a bow and arrows, they aren't on your Valentine's Day Grinch card for a reason. He dealt in love and passion, forcing it upon his victims with the prick of an arrow. Like the Roman god Cupid, Eros concerned himself with love and passion, making mischief and playing with lives by piercing humans and gods alike with his enchanted arrows. Today, the Valentine Cupid is seen as one of the most popular Valentine's Day characters. For Valentine's Day too. He is an iconic symbol of love and romance, but his journey to becoming the poster boy for Valentine's Day was a long one, with some twists along the way. Now, let us find out what were the twists exactly. In the Greek myths, Eros played with the emotions of both gods and mortals, and not always in the nicest of ways. In one story, he caused the god Apollo to fall in love with the nymph Daphne, then made sure the love was unrequited. In other stories, love turned dangerous. This photo depicts Cupid carving his bow by Francois Duquesnoy, kept in Board Museum, Berlin. Historians say Cupid wings are symbolic, and they are not unique to Cupid. Eros too is depicted as a winged creature in Greek mythology. It was probably ideas about love being fleeting or capricious that are behind the representation of Eros with wings, which goes back to ancient times, says Connors. Today's Valentine's Cupid is a nod to both classical gods and Eros lover, Psyche. Sometimes Eros is represented with a girl figure with wings. This is Psyche, says Connors. This Greek word for soul is also the word for butterfly. So we know they thought of the soul as a winged being. Images of Eros and Psyche in love are a way of expressing the idea that being in love transforms us as people. You can't celebrate Valentine's Day without having Cupid. Visually, the long artistic tradition of depicting Eros or Cupid with his mother, the goddess of love, persisted and was available when Valentine's card began to be commercially printed in the mid 19th century as your mascot. For centuries, February 14th has been seen as a celebration of romance, hence the Valentine's chocolates and romantic restaurants. Cupid likely seemed a natural fit to represent the holiday. Despite Cupid's colorful and complicated past, hopeless romantics everywhere relish the notion of a mischievous yet well-intentioned tyke, one who uses his power for good instead of evil, floating around and matching up those who are destined to be soulmates. That has no doubt contributed to the staying power of the Valentine Cupid. Cupid, meaning passionate desire, is the god of desire, erotic love, attraction, and affection. He is often portrayed as the son of the love goddess Venus and the god of war Mars. He is also known as Amadeuring. This time, his iconography acquired the bow and arrow that represent his source of power. A person or even a deity who is shot by Cupid's arrow is filled with uncontrollable desire. Myths Cupid is a minor character who serves mostly to set the plot in motion. He is a main character only in the tale of Cupid and Psyche. When wounded by his own weapons, he experiences the ordeal of love. Although other extended stories are not told about him, his tradition is rich in poetic themes and visual scenarios, such as love conquers all and the retaliatory punishment or torture of Cupid. Greek equivalent to Cupid is Eros. In Hinduism, Cupid is equivalent to Kamadeva. In Latin literature, Cupid is usually treated as the son of the Venus without reference to a father. Seneca says that Vulcan, as the husband of Venus, is the father of Cupid. However, says that there were three Cupids as well as three Venuses. The first Cupid was the son of Mercury, and Diana, the second of Mercury and the second Venus, and the third of Mars and the third Venus. This last Cupid was the equivalent of Anteros, counter love, one of the Eros, the gods who embody aspects of love. Cupid is winged, allegedly because lovers are flighty and likely to change their mind, and boyish because love is irrational. His symbols are the arrow and torch because love wounds and inflames the heart. These attributes and their interpretations were established by late antiquity, as summarized by Isidore of Seville in 686 AD. In his Etymologiae, Cupid is also sometimes depicted blindfolded and described as blind, not so much in the sense of sightless, saying the sight of the beloved can be a sub to love, as blinkered and arbitrary, as described by Shakespeare in A Midsummer Night's Dream. In 1590s, Cupid carries two kinds of arrows or dart, one with a sharp golden point and the other with a blunt tip of lead. A person wounded by the golden arrow is filled with uncontrollable desire, but the one struck by the lead feels aversion and desire only to flee. The use of these arrows is described by the Latin poet Ovid in the first book of his Metamorphoses. When Apollo taunts Cupid as the lesser Achilles, Cupid shoots him with the golden arrow but strikes the object of his desire, the nymph Daphne, with the lead in the tail of Cupid, the honey thief. The child god is stung by bees when he steals honey from their hive. He cries and runs to his mother Venus, complaining that so small a creature should not cause such painful wounds. Venus laughs and points out the poetic justice. He too is small and yet delivers the sting of love. In erotic scenes from mythology, Cupid riding the dolphin may convey how swiftly love moves, or the Cupid ostrich, a sea beast, may be a reassuring presence for this wild ride of love. A dolphin riding Cupid may attain scenes depicting the wedding of Neptune and Amphitrite, or the triumph of Neptune, also known as a marine Theseus. Cupid's sleeping became a symbol of absent or languishing love in Renaissance poetry and art, including A Sleeping Cupid, 1496 by Michelangelo, that is now lost. The ancient Roman Cupid was a god who embodied desire, but he had no temples or religious practices independent of those displayed as art or decoration. This is Cupid Night appeared among the several statues for private devotion in a household shrine, but there is no clear distinction between figures for veneration and those displayed as art or decoration, distinction from his Greek equivalent Eros, who was commonly worshipped alongside his mother Aphrodite, and was even given a sacred day upon the 4th of every month. Other Roman deities such as Venus, whom he often accompanies as a side figure in cult statues. The story of Cupid and Psyche appears in Greek art as early as the 4th century BC, but the most extended literary source of the tale is Latin novel Metamorphosis, also known as the Golden Ass, by Apicius, 2nd century AD. It concerns the overcoming of obstacles to the love between Psyche, soul or breath of life, and Cupid, and their ultimate union in marriage. The fame of Psyche's beauty threatens to eclipse that of Venus herself, and the love goddess sends Cupid to work a revenge. Cupid, however, becomes enamored of Psyche and arranges for her to be taken to his palace. He visits her by night, warning her not to try to look upon him. Psyche's envious sister convinces her that her lover must be a hideous monster, and she finally introduces a lamp into their chamber to see him. Startled by his beauty, she drips not on from the lamp and wakes him. He abandons her. She wanders the earth looking for him, and finally submits to the service of Venus, who tortures her. The goddess then sends Psyche on a series of quests. Each time she despairs, and each time she is given divine aid. On her final task, she is to retrieve a dose of Fospen's beauty from the underworld. She succeeds, but on the way back, cannot resist opening the box in the hope of benefiting from it herself, whereupon she falls into a torpid sleep. Cupid finds her in this state and revives her by returning the sleep to the box. Cupid grants her immortality so the couple can be wed as equals. The story was being retold in poetry, drama, and opera, and depicted widely in painting, sculpture, and various media. It has also played a role in popular culture as an example for true love, and is commonly used in relation to the holiday Valentine's Day. In 1991, it inspired the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast. It has been said that Gabriel was inspired by the tale Cupid and Psyche. If you liked this video and found it informative, then please do subscribe to my channel and support me. Thank you for watching.